Hello, everybody. Jen Hill here for our Huron Valley seminar series, and I'm really excited today to welcome Tisha from the Milford Pilates Club, right? And we're going to learn about Pilates and really what the heck is Pilates and why is it good for you? And I'm just going to tell you, I really want to get on one of those reformers sometime.
Hey, you're more than welcome. And literally you can just walk out your back door. So hi, everybody. Tisha at Milford Pilates Club, like Jen said. Yeah, I just thought that this would be a great way in which to show people what Pilates is. I think a lot of people have this, misconception that, oh, Pilates is hard because it's all core. And well, I'm not going to lie, it is a lot of core, but the thing is, we need to understand is it's strengthening us from deep inside and radiating out. So, you can go to, we'll talk about the differences of Pilates and yoga. You can go to your gym, you can go to your CrossFit, you can go to, your Planet Fitness and work on the machines, but you're not going to get the same kind of in-depth, pinpointed workouts that Pilates can provide for you. And then us being a smaller boutique studio, you really get more of the individualized attention. So that's good. So people like to say, what is Pilates? And I'm going to share a video. It's a cute little about 6-minute video of Joseph Pilates, who was the creator of this whole phenomena that actually is happening now. And I say often it's like the artist, artists aren't popular until after they're unfortunately dead. And it's the same thing here. Like Joseph Pilates wasn't super popular. It wasn't called Pilates until after he died. So what is Pilates? Joseph Pilates says it's a complete coordination of body, mind, and spirit. So, you're really pulling in what's going on in your body. We're really thinking about, we talk about a lot, mind-muscle connection. Why, when we're moving, why are they having me breathe like this? Why are they having me curl up now instead of then? And why am I moving my arms a certain way, and etc. So that's really getting that connection. And then once you have all that connected, it just kind of starts coming from within. We have 6 Pilates principles that we really hold true in our workouts, and they're breath. We use our breath often. Centering, everything is coming, we're thinking about it and it's radiating from the center of us. Control, are you in full control of your movement? Concentration, right? Are we just laying on the mat thinking about what we have to do after the class? I gotta go grocery shopping, so really thinking about things like that. Our flow, how are we moving? Are we flailing? Are we really thinking about, okay, now we're going here and now we're moving this trend, we're transitioning. And precision, really? Are my movements precise, or am I just moving? And there is definitely a difference. So I got a couple more that joined, which is great. Hello, ladies. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to share the video. Like I said, it's just it really details Joseph Pilates' life and who he was.
Go ahead. Video? I don't know if a video is going to work.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't know it was a video. I thought it was a PowerPoint.
No, I don't do PowerPoints. I'm a Pilates instructor. All right. Well, then, we could try and see if it works.
You can go ahead and try, but I'm almost positive the video will not work. But try it. And I'll let you know if it's showing or not.
Definitely.
Okay. And if anybody else sees it. Well, I'm seeing it. So is everybody else seeing it?
Joseph Pilates was a fitness guru and inventor.
Do you hear it?
1983, near the northern German city of Dusseldorf. His father was a prize-winning gymnast of Greek ancestry. His mother was a naturopath who believed in stimulating the body to heal itself without drugs or surgery. His mother's healing philosophy and father's physical achievements were to greatly influence Pilates' ideas on therapeutic exercise. Pilates was a sickly child, suffering from asthma, rickets, and rheumatic fever. To make matters worse, the bigger children at school taunted him by making fun of his name. He became determined to overcome his physical disadvantages and dedicated his life to improving his health and strength. He focused on breathing techniques to assist with his asthma, and by exercising outside in his shorts, was able to cure his rickets, which is caused by a vitamin D deficiency. By the age of 14, he was fit enough to pose for anatomical charts. He loved skiing and being outdoors. He studied bodybuilding, yoga, martial arts, and gymnastics. You can recognize the influence of these activities in the Pilates technique. For example, the long stretch and up stretch on the reformer are drawn from downward facing dog and plank in yoga. He uses punching and side kick movements similar to martial arts, and some exercises on the chair are similar to gymnastic ring work. The natural movements of animals also inspired him, and this can be seen in exercises such as the cat stretch on the Cadillac. In 1912, Joseph Pilates moved to England and earned a living as a professional boxer, circus performer, and self-defense trainer at Scotland Yard. During World War I, however, the British authorities interned him, along with other German citizens, in a British enemy citizens camp on the Isle of Man. The health conditions in these camps were poor, but Pilates insisted that everyone in his cell block participate in daily exercise routines, which he had devised to help maintain their physical and mental well-being. Some of the injured German soldiers were too weak to get out of bed. Not content to leave his comrades lying idle, Pilates took springs from the beds and attached them to the headboards and footboards of the iron bed frames, turning them into equipment that provided a type of resistance exercise for his bedridden patients. These mechanized beds were the forerunners of the spring-based exercise machines, such as the Cadillac and the Reformer, for which the Pilates method is known today. Pilates legend has it that during the Great Flu epidemic of 1918, not a single soldier under his care died, remarkable considering the terrible living conditions of the internment camps. After the war, Joseph returned to Germany and collaborated with experts in dance and physical exercise, such as Rudolf Laban. In Hamburg, he trained police officers. He was also pressured to train members of the German army, but left his native Germany, disappointed with its political and social conditions, and immigrated to the United States. En route, he met his future wife, a young nurse named Clara. The couple founded a studio in New York City and taught and supervised their students well into the 1960s. His method, which he and Clara originally called contrology, encouraged the mind to control muscles. It focused attention on core postural muscles that help keep the body balanced and provide support for the spine. In particular, Pilates exercises teach awareness of breath and of alignment of the spine, and strengthen the deep torso and abdominal muscles. Pilates came to believe that modern lifestyle, bad posture, and inefficient breathing lay at the roots of poor health. Joseph Pilates' New York gym put him in close proximity to a number of dance studios, which led to his discovery by prominent members of the dance community, including George Balanchine and Martha Graham. The Pilates repertoire itself has many references to classical ballet and also the Graham technique. For example, the ballet stretches on the Cadillac and ladder barrel, the round back and straight back in the stomach massage series on the Reformer. Many dancers, actors, and famous people in New York depended on Pilates for the strength and grace it developed, as well as for its rehabilitative effects. Joseph Pilates wrote 2 books, Your Health and Return to Life Through Contrology, and was also a prolific inventor. He passed away in 1967 at the age of 83 in New York. He had maintained a fit physique throughout his life, and photographs show that he was in remarkable physical condition in his older years. He's also said to have had a flamboyant personality. He smoked cigars, liked to party, and wore his exercise briefs wherever he wanted, even on the streets of New York. It's said that he was an intimidating, though deeply committed instructor. Although Joseph and Clara had no children, his legacy and exercise techniques were preserved and developed through the work of his disciples. These disciples, who started out as their apprentices, are now called the elders. Until exercise science caught up with the Pilates method in the 1980s, it was chiefly dancers and elite athletes who utilized the Pilates technique. Now, Pilates has made it to the mainstream, with its health benefits and mental discipline widely recognized as being of great benefit to the health and well-being of all types of people, no matter their shape, size, gender, or age. Today, Joseph Pilates' teachings are carried on by the Pilates elders, their prodigy, and by a large group of contemporary teachers all over the world.
So I'm really glad that you guys were able to see that. Did you like it?
Yes.
It was, and that is a great way in which to showcase, right? When people are like, well, what is Pilates? And now you get to a little bit of an idea about who he was and why, if you do Pilates, you'll be like, oh, this is kind of like a yoga pose, or this is similar, because they are. So Pilates versus yoga, you know, really a lot of people ask me that, well, isn't it like yoga, or it's not like yoga, is it? So I say, no. I said, both are definitely low impact workouts, using your own body weight as resistance. You know, both really take that mind muscle connection, the breath. Obviously in both, we breathe a little different than in yoga, but obviously we're still breathing the whole time. The nice thing is that Pilates can be tailored to fit at any level, whether you're brand new starting out or you're super advanced and strong as can be. And, you know, and then everybody in between. So, and as well as proving that core stability. Pilates and yoga both do that. Now, what's the differences? You know, Pilates has been around only as long as Joseph Pilates, right, was doing it. And obviously now past, you know, his death, where yoga has been around, I think they dated it far back as 3,000 years ago. And I'm sure, Jen, you can attest to the history.
You're right. It's a long time.
Yeah, a long time. To me, my personal feeling, the differences are yoga is much more Zen and meditative aspects, right? You don't really talk much in yoga as you would in Pilates. People are always going, groaning and moving and talking. And, you know, it's a little bit more social. But, and also the meditative aspect of yoga. Pilates doesn't have that, right? Really, the grounding and really bringing yourself internally to clear the mind. Well, ours is mind muscle. We're clearing the body through our mind muscle connection. So it really is something that they benefit each other. I can definitely say that. We have people who are avid yogis, and we have people who come from the yoga studio and come see us. So, I mean, many of you know that I did start teaching mat Pilates with in Harmony, and that's how I got into town. And the demand was just so large that I was like, well, let's just go ahead and see how this rolls out. And we've had really a great response. The problem is that we were a baby, we were an infant in our studio when COVID hit. So it has been truly amazing being in Milford, how so many people have responded, and, you know, that we've been able to stay in business with our base, which is great. So does anybody have any questions? Because I can answer questions all day long.
I do.
Oh, go.
So when you talked about Pilates being an in-depth core workout, why is that beneficial? And I think you should expand upon that and why people should worry about that.
Absolutely. So as we age, we all know that gravity is not friendly, right? In every aspect of our body. So with Pilates, we call the core powerhouse. There are 4 muscle groups that are your core powerhouse, and then everything else extraneously gets strong when you actively work those. 2 of them we already know. We know our diaphragm and we know our pelvic floor. So when you breathe, the diaphragm pushes down, the pelvic floor responds, because all of your innards, literally the only thing above your diaphragm is your heart. Everything else is, all of your other organs are below. So it pushes down. So you have those. There are a series of tiny little muscles that run down the back of your spine from 1 vertebra, drops down 2, from next drop down 2. It works like a little braid down your back. And then your biggest of the core powerhouse is called your transverse abdominis. I just like to say it's your corset-like muscle that wraps around the whole bottom of your rib cage and the top of your hips. So we think about when we take that big exhale, or when you cough, you know, you really feel the deep connection. And more so than just using your abs in the front that everybody wants to have them look as, you know, 6-pack, even though they're really 8 sections and not just 6. But so we want to really connect to those muscles. And you, by doing so, that everything else gets strong. The back gets taller. You get longer in every aspect. Pilates is very leaning and elongating. So when we're moving, when we're thinking about movement, the arms are reaching long. The head is reaching long. And I'll say, reach out longer at the top of your head, and people will turn their head up. I'm like, well, no, because you just got shorter there. It's like ET, right? Think of ET. We find length. in every direction, reaching long out the tips of the toes or reaching long out the heels. So really getting that core strength is going to help us stay upright, right? We're going to work against gravity. And then also it's just going to help shrink waistlines, which I don't know anybody who doesn't want a narrower waistline. So, right. It's a good thing. I work with a lot of different clients that have spinal issues. Maybe some of you have seen some of my posts with our spinal fusion clients. So clients who can't bend, they can't give me any forward like crunches because they have rods in their spine from scoliosis surgery. But we can still work their core by the deep breaths, by moving the arms and or legs away from the trunk of the body. When you do so, those appendages just got really heavy and now the core has to work that much harder. So there are ways in which to work with people with spinal issues. I'm working with somebody right now that has 3 bulging discs and crazy sciatic pain. Well, you can move the spine still, just there's certain ways you can and certain ways you can't. So, you know, really that is why we focus so hard on the core.
Does anyone else have questions? Because I have more, but I don't want to be, you know.
I like.
I'm curious how often you work with people. Like, do you have, depends on kind of what their needs are, how much time they have, or how do you, what kind of a recommendation do you make in terms of scheduling? Is it once a week, that sort of thing?
It depends on the individual and what is going on in their body. Like I was saying, the lady that we're working with the 3 bulging discs, she is doing private sessions only. I wouldn't put her into a class with somebody else because clearly she can't do the same moves that a lot of other people can. We're working with her minimally twice a week. Some weeks are 3 times, just depending on her schedule and our schedule. But anybody who is just generally, I just want to work out. I want to see changes in my body. I want to, you know, be fit because everybody's like, I just want to get fit. And, you know, I'm tired of sitting around. So I like to say, if you're already doing something, you know, you're already cycling, spinning, walking, you know, skiing right now, then I would say at least once a week. If you're not doing anything or every now and then you're like, well, I took a walk around my block, I'd like to, you know, a couple of times twice a week. And if you're like, you know, I'm gung-ho, I really want to make a change for myself, I want to see a difference, I want to feel a difference. You know, I have people that have unlimited memberships and I see them 5, 6, 7 days a week. So that's the nice thing of Pilates is it's not that jarring, hard, you know, weight workout. We're throwing weights around. I mean, we have 2-pound weighted balls. That's about as heavy as we get. And it's your own body resistance, which, you know, that is another similarity with yoga. You know, we're both working that body resistance and or working against the body resistance. So I hope that answered your question a little bit, Lauren. But.
Yeah, I used to be a dancer, performed, and so like Pilates really appeals to me. But you know, I'm a mom of 3 littles, so my schedule's a little like
tight. Yeah.
So I was curious if there was like a big like commitment, or if it was kind of like, yeah, like you could still get benefits from dropping in here and there or doing it once a week kind of a thing.
Yes, minimally once a week. But definitely if you could squeak in a second time during the week. And I don't know if I can talk about like my schedule right now. We are open 7 days a week. We do have Monday through Thursday, both morning and evening classes. And then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we have the morning block of time. So usually 8:30 to 12:30, we're working. Right now, because of COVID, and I expect it's going to stay for a while because people really do like it, is the convenience of when I'm teaching a mat Pilates class in the studio, I'm also live streaming it. So, you know, you can be at home with us. We've got our iPad right there in the studio. Sometimes we're working out. If there's nobody in the studio, we'll just work out with you at home and, you know, show you through your workouts. But otherwise we're live streaming it. And people like that because, like, honestly, this weather right now is cold. It's horrible. I don't like to go out if I don't have to. So if I can work out at home and, hey, be with a class because you're all there on the iPad, a lot of people are doing that too.
So I want to share a story about the lengthening and why that's important. Most people don't even, it's not even in their thought process. They're thinking about running or walking or but strengthening your core, but actually lengthening your spine. When I started, I'm a yoga instructor, if you guys don't know that. So, and I work at the chamber. But when I went through yoga teacher training, I was doing yoga 5 times a week. And I'm 5'2". And I went in after that was all over, and I went into the doctor and they measured me 5'2.25". And that's the first time that's ever happened in my life. And I know it's because I was lengthening my spine on a daily basis. And by doing that, I think that helps to prevent, and also strengthening your back in the way Pilates will do is giving you a foundation for not getting bulging discs. I mean, it's going to prevent that. I'm not saying in every case, but I'm thinking that that's a really good way of keeping your spine and bulging discs away, because we don't want those.
And thank you for that, Jen, because that is very true. A lot of people feel that when they bend over, so let's say we touch our toes, right? We round our spine to bend over to touch our toes. Well, that actually, so I'm going to pretend that these are my little vertebrae here, right? So there's one vertebra and the second one. When we bend over, we're actually, the inside of our vertebra are like, so what's facing this part of our body from the inside is getting tighter together, and it's opening up a little bit on the backside. So this little opening I'm creating here is what's back here. So people think, oh yeah, I'm stretching my spine, but actually you're compacting it. What we do is when we're laying, and we do a lot of back extension work. So when we're in our, let's say, and it's again, a similar move, we do a lot of cat-cow too, just like yoga does. When you come into that angry cat, right, that's back extension, we're flexing the spine. But the second we go into that lazy cow, we've just taken those vertebrae and we've just pulled them a fraction of an inch apart, right? Microscopically. But the more you do that and the more you strengthen, actually standing up tall is much harder, or sitting up tall, right? Think about it. Gravity, here we go. We're just slouching. So we can find length and use all of the spinal muscles that run down both sides of your spine. It just doesn't go right on your vertebra, though. There's a whole bunch on your vertebra, and then there's 3 big ones that run down. So like my face right now is my spine, 3 huge muscles that run the whole way from the base of your skull all the way down to your pelvis. So we'll lay on our mat on our belly, and our forehead will be here, and we'll either stack or we'll go goalpost, and we'll just peel ourselves away. And by doing that, it's not our belly cavity pushing us off the mat, it's our back extensors lifting us up. And by doing that, the spine gets a little bit longer. So funny that you mentioned that, Jen, because your length, your height difference, I've had 2 clients particular, and then one when I was doing all of my teacher training. One client, after her annual, right, 1 year later, she grew 1/4 of an inch. Another lady grew 1/2 an inch. And one lady I was doing teacher training with, she was a massage therapist. She grew a whole inch, and she was already a tall lady. So just by sitting upright, I've had so many people ask me, were you ever a dancer? Because you have great posture. I'm like, well, I did ballet in 3rd grade, but no, I just do Pilates a couple of days a week. And it really just does make, once you start doing it more, it makes you think a little bit more, and you're like, oh, okay. So now I do feel guilty when I'm sitting and working, and I'm like, oh, no, sit up tall.
Can I ask one more thing? I'm just coming from my yoga background, but so in yoga, we're very concerned, at least I as an instructor, I'm concerned with really lengthening that fascia. And I think when I'm looking, and I've not done Pilates except maybe some mat classes, but looking at the reformer and the Cadillac, I guess that's what it's called, I would say that that's going to be really lengthening that fascia as well, and getting that real nice and loose, not only lengthening our muscles, but more importantly, our fascia. Can you talk about that?
So your muscle fascia, and for those who don't know, I'm sorry to kind of bring it into animal terms, but everybody knows that white film on chicken breast, and that is muscle fascia. And what that inevitably ends up doing is every muscle cell, every muscle fiber, every muscle group is surrounded by this. And then as it gets into a muscle group and it gets thick at the ends, it becomes your tendon, which attaches to your bones. So we want to keep it all supple. We want to keep it moving. That way the muscles stay moving underneath it. And so a lot of people don't like to roll, but rolling actually is very, very important. And what I like to say is their muscle fascia, I use the analogy of a sponge. So we all know our IT bands, right? The side of the leg, and it gets really hard and it hurts to roll them. The bottom of our feet, a lot of people get plantar fasciitis. So I like to say, think of your fascia as a sponge. So when a sponge is its normal wetness, right? When it's moist, it's its normal shape. It's whatever shape it is, square, rectangle, it moves, it's squishy, it's nice. But the second it dries out, it gets hard and it shrinks. And that's similar to what happens with your fascia. If you don't move your muscles, if you don't roll your muscles, we do have a rolling class that we actually had before COVID. I'm actually putting it back on the schedule because people missed it. But if we don't get that fascia supple, keep it supple, that's when we get really tight everywhere. And so when we're bending over and we're going, oh gosh, my back is tight and etc. You know, my legs are tight. Arms, shoulders. I mean, it's everywhere. It's throughout your entire body. So thank you, Jen, for that, for sure.
Yeah. And if you're not keeping that supple, then that leads to injuries. So if you're going to, I don't mean to be, I mean, this is yours, but if,
but it's true.
You know, but like keeping that fascia supple, then, especially like say, if your back's tight, then you could have hip injuries. If you have if your hips are tight, you're going to have knee injuries. And so you think you think it's all connected. That's why I love this talk, because I think people need to understand is that it's all connected, right?
Correct. And another thing that is similar with Pilates and yoga, and then there's the difference. So the similarity is we're both trying to find flexibility. We're both trying to find length. But what differs of Pilates is as we're finding that length in whatever muscle group, etc., now we're strengthening it too, right? We're not holding poses. We move within finding that length. Once we have that, then, you know, everything, like I said, just gets stronger. So
I think like it's natural to do both of those together, you know.
I actually really I really encourage it. People are like, well, I do yoga a couple of days a week. And so I don't know when I'm going to do Pilates. I go, oh no, keep doing your yoga. Definitely. Just come see me for strength and flexibility and continue your flexibility there. Now there is a difference though in being too flexible. When you have the hypermobile hips, the hypermobile knees, the hypermobile elbows, you know, I work on, pulling that back in, right? Because we don't want to let that elbow extend. I have hypermobile elbows. My husband has hypermobile knees. So I'm constantly telling he and our son, unlock your knees, because then they lock them back, right? You get that nice little bend backwards, and unlock them because now you can actually use your muscle groups as you should. And etc. with the elbows and stuff. So there are definitely pros and cons of the two. Personally, I had to have hip surgery over the summer because I had a tear in my hip and a bone spur. Yay, that was fun. And my PT said, do not go to yoga right now. You need to let it heal and let those hips get back to where you should be before you get back to yoga. And I was really bummed because I love yoga. I love Shavasana.
Who doesn't love Shavasana?
No, I just love, and I love, as I was saying, I love the grounding and the meditative aspect of yoga and the stretch. But yeah, so there are definitely pros and cons for both. But Pilates, of course, in my opinion, is a little bit better. Sorry, Jen.
It doesn't bother me. You're not bothering me.
Good. So
any other questions?
Sally had to hop out, I know. And
yep.
I had to. So, you know, like I was saying earlier, we do have a multitude of different clients. We have clients with spinal issues. We have clients that one specific, she's got a whole hip replacement. One has a knee replacement. One, I actually have several clients that come from CrossFit and they're like, well, I got this injury. And okay, you know, because you're flailing and, you know, your instructor wasn't. So I am almost neurotic about form. If I see anything, the hips are off of minute, the back especially, I definitely watch the back. But I am on it like no tomorrow, because here's my philosophy, if you get hurt, you're not going to come back and you'll be like, oh yeah, I hurt my back, I'm not going to go back there. But if you're getting stronger and you're feeling a difference, and I can give you people all the day long that are like, oh, I've noticed this change in my body. I've noticed that change. I've noticed I don't have to get up as much in the middle of the night to use the restroom, right? Because we're strengthening those core muscles. I've noticed I can walk up the stairs, my second level, without holding the rail. It's things like that. I had somebody compliment me on my posture the other day, you know, things that you maybe don't see right away. You know, Joseph Pilates says it, you know, it takes 30, oh my gosh, this is so bad. This is so bad. I'm redoing my website. So I have all these Joseph Pilates quotes in my head, but basically, you know, it's the 10, 20, 30, you know, 10 visits, you'll see a difference or feel a difference. In 20 visits, you'll see a difference. And in 30 visits, you'll have a whole new body. And it's very true. You know, people by 30 visits in, depending on how many times they come, you know, you're looking at a couple of months, you're like, wow, I've really noticed that my arms are more toned, or my core is more toned, or I'm taller, or my pelvic floor is stronger, all these different things. So
plus it looks like fun.
You know, it is a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun. Sometimes we talk a lot. Maybe we shouldn't talk as much, but you know, we're moving, so that's good too.
Okay, well, thanks so much, Tisha. Anything else do we need to add?
I think I talked
on Main Street in Milford.
Yep, I'm on Main Street in Milford. You can't miss me. I'm right next to the burger joint, so I smell the burgers all day long. No, I don't. It's not that bad. There's a stairwell in between it. And really just, there's a box, an info box outside the door. If you want to grab, there's an info card on a special that we always run for brand new clients who would like to try the studio out. And of course, we're on social media. We're on Instagram and Facebook, and we have a website out there. I'm just redoing it, so it's going to be wiped and a prettier one put back up. But yeah, we'd love to see anybody in the studio, and everybody, if you're a brand new client, everybody gets a first group class free. So you can come try out a mat class, come try out a springboard class, come try out a TRX Pilates fusion class. So just my biggest thing is don't be afraid of it. I think a lot of people are more afraid of trying something new, and especially something that they maybe have heard or it's really hard. But if you can do the smallest movements, I've had football players on my reformer sweating. I'm like, oh, you're used to throwing around those big heavy weights, and now I'm making you find the tiniest little hip muscles and the tiniest little glute muscles. And so it's all good.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Tisha, for joining it, or, you know, enlightening us on Pilates. I think it's great. Thanks everybody for coming. If you have any questions for Tisha, you can email me and I can get them to her and she can get back with you. But thanks a lot.
Thanks you guys so much. All right. Have a great day.